So behind me is not the first ever Jeep EV. That would be the Wagoneer S, or perhaps something even earlier that I'm forgetting. But it is the first Jeep EV to be trail rated, meaning that technically Jeep says this bad boy will do the Rubicon Trail. This badge right here, that's the important part. This is the Jeep Recon. It is an all-new, all-electric Jeep, and unlike the Jeep Wagoneer S, which is very much a pavement-focused vehicle, this one is all about going off-road and about taking the doors off. That's right, you can take off all 4 doors, the rear quarter glass, and even the rear swing gate glass, all tool-free. And I believe it is the first EV to be so equipped. Up front, we have an illuminated 7-slot grille. It was inevitable. It was always going to happen. I do think this trend of illuminating every grille and badge on the front of a car is tacky and will age poorly in a couple of years, but it's what it is. People like it. Now, the big news, of course, is that every single Recon is, all-wheel drive. There's a 250 kilowatt motor in the front and the exact same motor in the back. Those 2 motors combine to make 650 horsepower and 620 pound-feet of torque, and that is good enough to get this big beast to 60 miles an hour in 3.6 seconds. Of course, with big chunky tires and a really blocky profile, you shouldn't be surprised that this is only rated at 250 miles of range. That's because efficiency and off-roading, they don't usually go together. What we have here are 33-inch tires on the Moab trim, which is their off-road version for now, which yields 9.1 inches of ground clearance. You can also see we have very short front and rear bodywork. This allows basically a 33% approach and departure angle, which is pretty good. They actually have one parked up on a set of ramps to show us that aggressive departure angle. It just means you're gonna get hung up less when you're rock crawling on the trails. Jeep has tried to make this more efficient, and one of the interesting ways they've done that is with basically hub disconnects. There's a front motor, but it can basically disconnect at the hub for more efficiency when you're just going down the road. Another interesting thing, when you spec the Moab off-road spec, the final drive ratio of the front motor is different than the back. The standard final drive ratio is 11:1. When you spec that Moab package, you get a 15:1 final drive in the rear to give you more mechanical advantage, essentially more torque and better low-speed crawling with the Moab package and that numerically higher, lower rear gear. Now, there are some Jeep innovations on the inside as well. First of all, the thing you're going to notice are these big, chunky grab handles. Because Jeep engineered this for some extreme angles, and your passenger is going to need something to hold on to. There's also a configurable accessory rail on the dashboard to mount your GoPros, your navigation, all that other stuff to share your trail rides with the internet. One thing you won't find in the interior, well, it's physical buttons for the HVAC controls. There's a giant 15.4-inch touchscreen in the center of the car, and that controls all your climate stuff. There is a volume knob, which, thank goodness it's still there, but most of the controls are in the touchscreen. And I'm really curious to see how this plays out. A touchscreen-based infotainment system and a car where the doors come off easily. I don't know how waterproof that screen is or isn't, but I'm sure some owners will find out quickly. Another thing about these doors coming off, yes, they have exterior hinges. It's designed that they can come out easily. An interesting thing is that Jeep has moved the door speakers to underneath the seats, so when the doors come off, you still get tunes. And that's a good thing because there's a standard Alpine premium audio system with the Jeep Recon. Now, Canadian pricing has yet to be announced, but in this case, we can use the American pricing to kind of figure out where this is going to land. The American pricing, well, it starts at an MSRP of $65,000 plus a $2,000 destination charge, which to me makes me think there's no way that this thing is arriving in Canada under $70,000. In fact, I think probably closer to 75 or maybe perhaps even 80,000 Canadian dollars. We have to wait and see because production is beginning in the very first part of 2026 and deliveries soon thereafter. And if you're curious about the country of origin, every single Jeep Recon is built in Toluca, Mexico. In my opinion, the Jeep Recon is an exciting product. It's essentially the off-road ethos of the Wrangler applied to an EV. I'm really excited to get a chance to drive one of these and try it hopefully on some Canadian trails very soon. For Driving.ca from the floor of the LA Auto Show, I'm Clayton Seams. And stay tuned because we will have a first drive of this thing soon. You tell me, would you prefer to drive this thing on the trails with the doors off or on?